afternoon. I'm Gary Hightower, publisher of Tank Transport Trader, and I'm here today at the Kraft Tank Summit. And I have a special guest with me right now, Will Lusk with National Tank Truck Carriers. And we're going to spend a little bit of time to speak with him about what he does for the National Tank Transport Carriers. Hello, Will.
Hi there, Gary. Thanks so much for having me today. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. So, what do you do with National Tank Truck Carriers?
Sure. So NTTC is a nonprofit, nonpartisan trade association that represents everybody here at this event, the North American tank truck industry. We have about 500 members, about half of which are commercial for-hire carriers and private fleets, those that own and operate bulk transportation companies. The other half of which are solutions providers, manufacturers, consultants, yes, even attorneys, anyone who helps ensure that those bulk transportation carriers operate safely and efficiently every single day.
I see.
So NTTC acts as the advocacy voice and an educational opportunity for all of those carriers to become a little bit better every single day. My job is Director of Education and Government Relations. What that basically means is I provide a lot of the advocacy functions for the association in front of regulatory agencies like the Department of Transportation, Homeland Security, Department of Labor, EPA. I represent the association in front of those, but I also manage a lot of our training products that NTTC has for the benefit of members and for the association, or for the industry in general.
I see.
Quite a bit.
And today, what were you going to talk about today at the summit?
Well, I am really honored to have been asked to be the keynote speaker for today's event. I think that folks in the room are going to be asking, what's going on in Washington? A lot of folks know that there is a lot of change up on Capitol Hill and in the halls of the White House. What are the truths with some of those changes, and how can a company best prepare for what the future lies ahead? So I hope to peel back that curtain a little bit and give folks my interpretation of what's happening in Washington. Maybe there are some really great things that we can prepare ourselves for, and I also hope to talk a little bit about some of the advancements that NTTC has been working on. We've had a really great string of successes up on Capitol Hill and with regulatory agencies, and I'm going to talk a little bit about those and what the association is going to be working on over the next couple of years, especially as we're going through a surface transportation reauthorization package, an exercise that Congress is going through to pass a multi-billion-dollar budget for transportation programs over the next year or so. So it's an exciting time in Washington, but my responsibility for today is to distill it in such a way that folks will walk away a little bit more optimistic and with a better understanding of what's taking place in Washington.
That's very interesting. I'm sure Kraft Tank is glad to have you here today as well.
I hope so. I'm honored that I was invited here. There are some really neat things taking place in Washington that really affects trailer manufacturers like Kraft Tank. As an example, I've got to talk about the FET, the federal excise tax. This is a 12% tax that was instituted in 1917, I believe, to help fund our entry into World War I. And that tax continues on today. World War I is come and gone. As a matter of fact, we fought a Second World War to make sure that World War I was done, right? And that tax still persists. So NTTC, along with other partners and stakeholders around Washington, what we're trying to provide some relief to manufacturers and our carriers to help eliminate that tax, which has become a barrier for folks to afford higher quality, newer, more efficient, more safe equipment on the roads. By eliminating that 12% tax, that will allow for end users to afford more equipment in the future. So we're really excited about that. And what's particularly exciting is that members of Congress are listening. We are not having a lot of folks saying, nope, you can't do that. 12% tax, we cannot afford it. Folks in Congress are listening. We have very logical, outstanding arguments that are compelling, and we're getting a lot of head nods in Congress. I don't know if it's going to be passing through Congress within the next couple of weeks or months, but what I think is powerful right now, Gary, is that they're listening. And that is a really, really exciting opportunity for us to help tell our story. And it's going to be exciting for Kraft. It's going to be exciting for anybody who works on tractors or other high-priced commodity solutions for these carriers. We're really excited about that. Rear pulsating amber lights is another issue right now where we have seen tremendous success of our carriers preventing or mitigating rear-end collisions by taking advantage of regulatory exemptions to install pulsating amber lights that attract more attention for our highway users. And we're seeing amazing results. And there's going to be a time in the very near future where we need to look at a full rulemaking which will allow for carriers and for manufacturers to install those equipment without any kind of exemption of sorts. So we want to level the playing field. Everybody can install that common sense safety equipment. So as you can see, there's some really positive things coming really, really soon on the horizon.
Well, that's really good news. And I really appreciate you sitting down with me today to talk about these things, Will. And Will, tell me about some of the challenges that you see ahead.
Well, there are, as I'm sure anybody could appreciate, Washington, D.C. is a very dynamic place, especially these days with a lot of change. With a new administration that we have comes a lot of opportunity. We have a lot of opportunity to provide education for these policymakers in Washington. And with ever-changing news, circumstances such as tariffs, and it seems like there are some breaking news every other day regarding tariffs. The challenge that NTTC staff has is taking those developments and pushing that information to our constituents, the tank truck industry, as efficiently and as up-to-date as we can. The challenge that we have in such a dynamic environment, with news changing so quickly, is that it can cause confusion. I can email a member and advise them of a situation, and then what I sent to them no longer applies a day later or 2 days later. So it is important now more than ever that people, companies, and NTTC stay on top of it. Now is the time to either maintain or build bridges to regulators and policymakers to get the best understanding possible of what the political environment is like so that we can make the best decisions about investment, about policy, about how to proceed forward as best that we can using the best information we have available. That's a challenge to stay on top of that.
As publisher of Tank Transport Trader, I know that the industry would like to know what they can do for you to help you in your efforts.
Well, thanks for that. NTTC does a really great job, I personally feel, of help tell the story of what the situation is like on the ground for any of our carriers or manufacturers or any stakeholder in the tank truck industry. And we have the relationships to communicate that effectively. But I also know that there is a power in a carrier communicating to their member of Congress or their representatives with FMCSA locally to help tell their story. Right. NTTC can talk about facts, figures, national statistics, but an individual carrier that sends a letter, writes an op-ed to their local newspaper, or individually communicates an issue to their member of Congress is going to have significant power because it tells a story. If this bill goes through, this is how this affects my business in Ankeny, Iowa, or Canton, Ohio, small town America, in Decatur, Illinois. To tell a real story, to say this is how my business is going to improve or negatively impacted for these amounts of workers is going to be so compelling. Members of Congress love hearing that, how their work positively impacts their constituents. So I would urge for stakeholders in the tank truck industry to communicate their story. A simple LinkedIn post, a Facebook post to help communicate their message of how they are doing wonders for the American and Canadian economies. We are all for, and together we can help amplify the great things that our industry is doing across the continent.
Thank you, Will. I was speaking with Will Lusk from National Tank Truck Carriers.